Before anything else, allow yourself to become calm for a moment. Because what is happening around you is not as clear as it first seems. Somewhere beyond the noise of everyday life, beyond the endless distractions that constantly pull attention away from what truly matters, a quiet realization has started to take shape. It did not arrive with loud announcements. It did not force itself into anyone's life. Instead, it appeared softly, almost unnoticed at first, like the gentle light that comes before sunrise. Yet the impact it created could not be ignored. Someone connected to your future, someone whose heart has been trying to understand something they could never fully explain, has recently come face to face with a truth that completely surprised them. Don't skip, because this truth is not about what you own, where you live, or how other people see you. It reaches much deeper than that. For a long time, your soulmate believed they already knew the kind of person they were looking for. They had built pictures in their mind, expectations, assumptions, and ideas shaped by old experiences and unfinished chapters of their life. But then something unexpected happened. A conversation, a memory, a feeling they could not put into words, a moment that looked completely ordinary on the outside, but carried a much deeper meaning beneath the surface. Suddenly, they started seeing you through a different lens. Not because you changed overnight, but because their understanding finally began catching up with the person you have always been. And that realization affected them far more than they ever imagined. Imagine finding out that the very thing you spent years searching for had quietly been standing in front of you the entire time. Imagine realizing that what truly matters was never the thing that first captured your attention. That is the surprise now moving through their heart. Stay until the end, because something meaningful is waiting for you. They keep replaying the smallest details in their mind. Tiny moments that once seemed unimportant now carry a completely different meaning. Things they once overlooked now stand out clearly. The kindness you showed when nobody was paying attention. The patience you carried through situations that would have frustrated almost anyone else. The quiet strength you displayed without ever asking for praise or recognition. These are the qualities slowly revealing themselves, and the more they understand, the more amazed they become. What truly left them speechless was not one single action. It was the realization of who you really are beneath everything else. You are not someone who depends on constant attention in order to shine. You are not someone who measures your worth through approval from others. There is a depth inside you that cannot easily be described. A quiet steadiness, a sincere heart, a rare ability to remain genuine even when the world encourages people to become someone they are not. This is what they are beginning to recognize, and because of that, emotions they believed were under control suddenly feel much stronger than before. The surprising part is that they never expected this understanding to arrive now. They believed they had more time to figure everything out. They assumed clarity would appear little by little. Instead, it came all at once, like a missing puzzle piece finally slipping into place. The moment it happened, nothing looked exactly the same anymore. Questions they had carried for so long began finding answers. Doubts slowly started losing their power. Confusion gradually turned into understanding. And although they may not fully understand every part of it yet, they know one thing with complete certainty. There is something about you they simply cannot ignore anymore. Don't turn away from this moment. Stay a little longer, because what they discovered is only the beginning of something much bigger. Right now, they are standing at the edge of an emotional understanding they never expected to reach. And as this understanding continues to grow, another truth, one even more meaningful than the first, is quietly preparing to reveal itself. But that part belongs to the next stage of this journey. A quiet silence has settled where certainty once existed. And that silence is telling a story your soulmate never imagined they would hear. Ever since that realization started growing inside them, something has felt different. Not dramatic, not chaotic, simply impossible to ignore. It is the kind of feeling that remains long after everyone else has moved on, the kind that returns during peaceful moments and gently asks to be noticed once again. What surprised them the most was not the discovery itself, it was how deeply it touched their heart. They believed understanding you would make everything easier. Instead, it opened a door they had never imagined walking through before. Stay until the end because another important part of this story is beginning to unfold. They have started noticing a pattern. Every time they think they have reached a final conclusion about you, something new appears and changes everything. A memory comes back. A small detail suddenly makes perfect sense. A feeling they once ignored becomes impossible to overlook. It is as though pieces from different moments are quietly arranging themselves into one complete picture. And the more complete that picture becomes, the more they realize they underestimated what truly makes you special. Without even realizing it, stay with this because what happens next changes the entire story. Recently, they have been remembering things they once believed had faded away. Not huge moments, not unforgettable events, but the small details that quietly stayed in their heart. The way you carry yourself during difficult times. The way you keep moving ahead when many others would have stopped. The way you stay honest with yourself, even when no one is there to notice. These memories have been returning without warning, and each one feels like another missing piece finally fitting into place. What surprises them the most is how effortless this understanding feels. There is no pressure behind it, no attempt to force a conclusion, no effort to convince themselves of anything. The realization simply continues to appear on its own. Each passing day brings another reason, another quiet moment of understanding, another glimpse of the truth they are slowly accepting. And what is that truth? It is not that you are flawless. It is not that you never make mistakes. It is not that you are somehow above everyone else. The truth is much stronger because it is honest. They are beginning to understand that you are real. In a world full of noise, you stay genuine. In a world full of pretending, you remain sincere. In a world where so many people hide their true selves, you continue showing up exactly as you are. That discovery has touched them far more deeply than they ever expected. Keep watching because something meaningful is still waiting ahead. The surprise they experienced was never about finding someone perfect. It was about finding someone authentic. Someone whose strength comes from character instead of appearance. Someone whose worth becomes even greater with time. Someone whose presence brings peace instead of confusion. And now another change is quietly taking place. For the first time, they are no longer thinking only about who you are today. Their mind has started wandering toward tomorrow, toward new possibilities, toward questions they never imagined asking themselves. What would life feel like with someone like you close by? What would everyday conversations become? What would simple days look like together? Why does imagining that future create such unexpected peace? These questions arrive softly, yet their effect cannot be ignored. The more they think about them, the more they notice something remarkable. Instead of creating pressure, these thoughts bring comfort. Instead of creating doubt, they bring understanding. Instead of creating fear, they create hope. And this is where the next discovery begins, because your soulmate is starting to realize that what first caught their attention was only the beginning. What truly reached their heart was something much deeper, something lasting, something they never expected to uncover when this journey first started. Yet there is still one truth they have not completely accepted, a truth connected to why your presence continues returning to their thoughts, a truth connected to why every answer somehow leads back to you, a truth connected to what their heart already understands, even though their words have not fully admitted it. That moment of understanding is getting closer than they realize, and when it finally arrives, it will connect every part of this story in a way neither of you could have imagined. The signs are already appearing. The clues are already coming together. And the next chapter begins the very moment they stop questioning their feelings and begin trusting them instead. Some realizations never arrive like a sudden flash of lightning. They come like the sunrise, slowly, gently, so quietly that you almost fail to notice when the darkness becomes light. That is exactly where your soulmate stands today. They are in the middle of a change they cannot fully explain, watching old doubts slowly disappear while a new understanding quietly takes their place. And the most amazing part is that nothing about this change was forced. It happened naturally. One thought at a time, one memory at a time, one realization after another. There was a time when they believed distance would answer all their questions. They thought that enough time, enough distractions, and enough attention on other things would eventually make their feelings about you easier to understand. But something unexpected happened instead. The more they continued moving forward, the more certain truths continued following them. Not loudly, not dramatically, quietly, steadily, like a familiar song returning when they least expected to hear it. Don't leave, because this is where the story begins revealing something truly meaningful. The truth they are discovering has nothing to do with luck. It is not about coincidence. It is about recognition. Every deep connection eventually reaches a moment when the heart understands what the mind has been trying to explain all along. And your soulmate is getting closer to that very moment. They are beginning to see that what pulled them toward you was never a passing emotion. It was something much deeper than that. Recently, they have noticed how different they feel whenever thoughts of you appear. Other interests come and go, priorities change, life keeps moving. But whenever your memory enters their thoughts, a calm feeling quietly follows. Not excitement by itself, not simple curiosity. Something steadier, something stronger. A feeling that reminds them of what truly matters in life. And that feeling has become impossible to ignore. Stay until the end, because something important is still ahead. What surprised them the most was realizing that you represent qualities they secretly hoped still existed. Loyalty, honesty, kindness, quiet strength without pride, confidence without pretending. These qualities have become rare. Yet every time they think about you, they are reminded that those qualities are still real. For a while, they questioned themselves. Why does this matter so much? Why does this realization continue growing stronger? Why does every road seem to lead back to the same person? Little by little, the answers are becoming clear. Because what they found in you is not something that can easily be replaced. Some people leave memories. Some people leave impressions. But a few people completely change the way we see the world. And without trying, without even knowing, you have quietly become one of those rare people. That realization has left them both amazed and deeply grateful. There are moments when they catch themselves smiling without understanding exactly why. Moments when they suddenly remember something connected to you and feel their mood completely change. Moments when tomorrow feels brighter simply because they imagine possibilities that once seemed impossible. Yet the deepest realization has still not been spoken aloud. Not because it is hidden, not because it is difficult, but because it carries real weight. The kind of truth that makes someone stop before admitting it to themselves. The kind of truth that changes everything once it is fully accepted. Right now, your soulmate is standing at the edge of that understanding. They can feel it getting closer. They can sense it becoming clearer. Every new day, every quiet reflection, every unexpected moment of clarity is bringing them one step nearer. Soon, they will stop asking themselves why they feel this way. Instead, they will begin asking what they should do about it. That question is already forming quietly inside their thoughts. It is growing stronger every day. It is becoming harder and harder to ignore. And when they finally allow themselves to face it honestly, another remarkable chapter of this journey will begin. Because the next realization is not about who you are. It is about what your presence has awakened inside them. And once they clearly understand that truth, nothing will ever feel exactly the same again. An unexpected transformation is taking place right now, and it is far more important than your soulmate realizes. For so long, they focused on understanding you, your personality, your spirit, the qualities that quietly made you different from everyone else. But recently, something new has entered their heart. Their attention is no longer resting only on who you are. It is beginning to focus on who they become whenever you enter their thoughts. At first, the change was almost impossible to notice. A moment of reflection that lasted longer than before. A feeling that stayed with them throughout the day. A quiet sense of hope replacing uncertainty. Each small change seemed unimportant on its own, but together they created something impossible to overlook. Don't skip, because this may be the biggest turning point yet. The truth is, your soulmate expected to learn more about you. They never expected to learn something new about themselves. Yet that is exactly what is happening. Every meaningful connection acts like a mirror. It reminds us of strengths we forgot we had, dreams we stopped believing in, possibilities we never gave ourselves permission to imagine. And every time your soulmate reflects on you, they find themselves reconnecting with parts of their own heart that had been silent for a very long time. This realization has deeply surprised them, not because it arrived all at once, but because it came honestly and naturally. There was no dramatic event, no single moment that suddenly changed everything. Instead, understanding continued growing little by little. Little by little, they reached a point where they could no longer ignore what was unfolding inside them. Stay until the end, because something meaningful is waiting for you. They are starting to realize that your presence means far more than simple admiration, more than curiosity, and more than a passing emotional feeling. You remind them of what is real. You remind them that true connections still exist. You remind them that life becomes richer when people stop pretending and begin showing the world who they truly are. And maybe that is exactly why their emotions have become stronger than ever before. Because every time they believe they have reached the end of this understanding, another layer appears. Another reason becomes clear. Another realization rises. Another missing piece finds its place. What first began as curiosity has slowly turned into deep respect. What began as admiration has grown into sincere appreciation, and what once felt like an unanswered question is gradually becoming complete certainty. There are moments now when they experience an unexpected sense of peace simply by imagining what the future could become. Not because every answer is already available, not because every detail has been perfectly figured out, but because some people naturally create a feeling of trust wherever they go, and you are becoming that feeling in their heart. A reminder that meaningful things deserve patience. A reminder that honesty still has great value. A reminder that some relationships reveal their importance little by little, becoming stronger with time instead of fading away. And this is where the story begins to take another unexpected direction. Because while they have spent so much time wondering what makes you different from everyone else, they are now beginning to discover something even greater. The qualities they admire most in you are the very same qualities they hope to develop more deeply within themselves. That realization has created a powerful sense of connection, a feeling that this bond is teaching them something important, encouraging them to grow, helping them see life from a clearer perspective. That understanding has changed everything. Even so, one final piece still remains just beyond their reach, a realization they are slowly approaching but have not fully accepted. A realization that explains why your name keeps returning to their thoughts, why every memory connected with you continues to carry meaning, why every attempt to move beyond these emotions only brings them back to an even deeper understanding. The answer is closer now than it has ever been before. They can feel it inside. The missing pieces are almost complete. And in the next part of this journey, the truth they have been quietly circling for so long will begin revealing itself in a way that neither their heart nor their mind will be able to overlook. Something truly meaningful is unfolding, and this journey is becoming even more powerful with every passing moment. There comes a point in every meaningful story when the heart no longer searches for proof, and instead begins recognizing what has always been there. Your soulmate is moving closer to that point now, not with hurry, not with pressure, but with a peaceful certainty that becomes stronger every single day. The questions that once filled their thoughts are slowly losing their influence. The doubts that once demanded all of their attention are becoming quieter, and in their place, a fresh understanding is beginning to appear, one that feels surprisingly natural and effortless. What makes this realization so meaningful is that it was never forced. It developed naturally through countless moments of reflection, through unexpected flashes of clarity, through small observations that first appeared ordinary, but quietly carried extraordinary meaning beneath the surface. Do not skip because another important piece is about to fall into place. Recently, your soulmate has noticed something unusual. Whenever they picture the future, your presence appears there more often than ever before. Not because they are trying to force those thoughts, not because they are intentionally imagining those moments. It simply happens. A future conversation, a shared smile, a meaningful experience, a peaceful afternoon together. These images appear naturally, and every time they arrive, the feeling that follows remains exactly the same. Comfort, hope, trust. The more often they experience this, the harder it becomes to dismiss. Because some emotions become weaker when examined closely. But these feelings seem to grow even stronger. The more they reflect, the clearer everything becomes. Stay until the end because something important is waiting for you. One of the biggest surprises for them has been realizing how deeply they value the qualities that make you exactly who you are. Not the surface details, not the temporary things, but the deeper qualities that remain unchanged no matter what life brings. Your strength, your honesty, your determination to keep moving forward, your choice to remain kind even when life becomes difficult. These qualities have created an impression that continues becoming stronger over time. And perhaps that is what surprised them the most. Normally, excitement fades away. Usually, curiosity becomes weaker. First impressions often lose their intensity. Yet every new discovery about you seems to strengthen what they already feel inside. That is completely different from what they expected. In fact, it is the exact opposite of what they believed would happen. Because of this, they have started listening much more carefully to what their heart has quietly been trying to tell them all along. There are moments now when everything suddenly feels much simpler. Not because every question has finally been answered, but because the questions that matter the most no longer feel confusing. Deep inside, they know there is a reason your presence continues carrying such importance. They know there is a reason your memory remains so clear. They know there is a reason their thoughts continue returning to the same place. And with every passing day, that understanding becomes more difficult to ignore. Something truly important is waiting for you, because the truth they are approaching is not about a temporary emotion. It is about recognition. Recognition of someone whose value becomes more obvious with time. Recognition of a connection that continues revealing deeper meaning. Recognition of a person who quietly transformed the way they think about what truly matters in life. Now another change is beginning. For the very first time, they are no longer focused only on what surprised them. Their attention is beginning to shift toward what comes next. That question keeps appearing more often than before. What happens when a realization becomes impossible to deny? What happens when admiration slowly grows into something much deeper? What happens when the future begins feeling connected to someone in ways you never imagined possible? Those questions are standing directly before them now. The answers have not fully arrived, but they are closer than ever before. And in the next chapter, your soulmate will begin noticing something they have overlooked until now. A quiet truth hidden beneath every realization, every memory, and every emotion they have experienced throughout this entire journey. Once that truth becomes fully clear, Everything they have been feeling will finally begin making complete sense. And that is exactly where this story is about to become even more meaningful than ever before.